Greetings, Human Life Forms. I'm the Meister, and welcome back to my yearly season prediction video. It's been a while since I made a football-related video, but we're finally back. First Hall of Fame game is coming up this Thursday. I probably want to, if I have a prediction for it, it'll just be on my Twitter. Link is in the description below. But yeah, this is going to go through the whole seedings I have for both the AFC and the NFC. I went through NFL playoff predictors. If you don't know about it, literally you can select who you want to win for, or who you think is going to win for every single game, for every game in the entire season, and it'll make a playoff bracket for you and everything. So that's what I used to determine the seedings for every team in each conference. Obviously not every team. I'm just going to show off the first 7 for each conference. And then we're going to go through the whole playoffs and ultimately the Super Bowl to see who takes the Lombardi Trophy home. So for starters right here, we got the division winners for the AFC. It's going to be tough, like, looking at these, because, like, you feel like, oh, I think this team is better than that team, but just based on how the schedules played out throughout the season, it never ends up turning out that way, because, like, it's not like a power rankings. It's literally like going through the season and seeing how it all comes into fruition. So I got the Baltimore Ravens repeating, second year in a row, getting the 1 seed. Might be a little bit bold of a pick to have the Ravens getting the 1 seed back-to-back years, but with how the schedule plays out, Ravens, if they can stay healthy, they've proven they are a monster when it comes to the regular season. So I got the Ravens getting the 1 seed. The high-flying Texans I got claiming the number 2 seed in the conference. I think this team is going to continue to elevate. They got a lot of weapons on offense. The defense has just been getting better and better as well. So I got the Texans at the 2. I got Buffalo at the 3 seed. That was a tough one. Bit of a homer pick. Don't kill me. But Buffalo, I think, can really stay consistent. There's been a lot of arguments, and if losing Stephon Diggs is going to make that offense worse or better, there's been arguments for both sides here. And the defense, they did lose quite a few pieces on defense, but I feel like with the coaching that we have, I think the defense can stay at least pretty relevant throughout the course of the season here. Then Kansas City getting the 4 seed, which might also be a little bit bold here as well. Last year they were a little bit rough in the regular season. They had their moments of struggles. And I think that could continue this year, but I don't think it's going to be anything to prevent them from getting the AFC West. I'm done riding that Chargers train that I have in the past couple years. Because if you've been watching my playoff prediction videos the past couple years, you'll know that I've been picking the Chargers to win it the past couple of years. I'm not doing that anymore. Chiefs is the clear favorite in that division, so they should rightfully win it. 4 might be a bit low for them, but we're just going to move right along here to the wild card teams here in the AFC that I have. I got the New Jersey Jets getting number 5. Obviously, very complete team. Obviously, the big talk is how Rodgers is going to play this year. If he can get back to his MVP level form that he was with the Packers. So that's a big question mark for them, but the Jets should definitely be in the thick of it this year if they can stay healthy. And then the Cleveland Browns at 6, another team with a really great roster. They have one of the best defenses in the league, and it should not change this year. And the offense, it's going to be a bit interesting because there's all this talk about how Nick Chubb is going to be for this season, and if he's going to be ready to start the year, more likely not. But the Browns are a good rushing team with or without him. Obviously, they're a lot better of a rushing team with Nick Chubb, but I think they're still going to be a pretty capable rushing team without him. And then, of course, the talk that has been for like the past, feels like forever now, maybe like 3 years or something, is how well Deshaun Watson can play in a full, healthy season, if he can even stay healthy, which is obviously the talk for a lot of these teams is the health. But I think they should be good enough to at least make the playoffs. Like we saw last year, they had 4 quarterbacks starting for them, and they still made the playoffs. So I think the Browns, they should be in the thick of it as well. I think they should get a playoff spot. 5, 6, 7, I feel like it can fluctuate with any of them. I think it'd be too bold to go division winning for the Browns. Would I rule it out? No, but it'd be a pretty risky pick to have them winning the division, especially Cincinnati. And the Ravens, and the Steelers, too. When I went through the whole season here, I thought Pittsburgh played pretty darn well. Or I think they're going to play pretty darn well this season, but obviously just missing the cut here. And then Cincinnati at number 7. I think the defense has been good, but they've been losing pieces every single year, so I think they're going to continue to decline a little bit. I think, again, similar to how I said with the Bills, I think their defense will still be relevant, but I think it will be worse. And then with the offense, I think passing-wise should still be really good. One of the best passing games in the league. But with the rushing game, I'm a little iffy on. Quite a few people think it's going to be okay to have Zach Moss at starting running back. I'm not sure if I feel the same way, so I think they're going to be a little more one-dimensional on offense this season, which I feel like can hurt them a little bit. But they still got Joe Burrow. They still got a great passing attack, which should at least get them the 7th seed here in the playoffs, just barely squeaking in here. As we move on to the NFC division winners, I got the Philadelphia Eagles getting the number 1 seed here. As you can see, just right off the top of most people's minds, seeing the Lions getting number 4. Falcons get above the Lions. 49ers obviously still going to be in that mix, probably either 1 or 2. But for Philadelphia, they did have that collapse at the end of the season, but I think they will rebound. I don't think that was who they were, and I think getting new coordinators and everything, just a new fresh start for Philly. And they still have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball in Philadelphia, so and they are also a great regular season team, at least for the most part they have been, so I think they're going to continue to show that. And plus, their division, their division's a little iffy. I think it's a bit more on the weaker side now than it has been. So I think the Eagles are going to win the division and get the 1 seed here. Might be a bit bold. 49ers at 2, I don't think you can really argue. They're going to be either 1 or 2 more than likely if they can stay healthy this year. Great defense, great offense, just all-around great team. They've been right in the mix for the Super Bowl the past couple years. I think they continue to prove that and be here right in the mix at number 2. Falcons, I got at number 3. All season when I was going through the season in the NFL for my predictions, it was really close between the Falcons and the Bucs on who was going to win that division, and the Falcons just barely pulled out at the end of the season and got the number 3 seed. And then as for the Lions, their division is going to be very tough this year with the Packers. A lot of people riding on the Packers this season. And the Bears obviously have a lot of talent as well. And the Vikings offensively, they got a lot of talent too, but the quarterback situation's a little more iffy than the rest of the teams in that division. So I think it's going to be a bit tougher for the Lions to win it this year. I still think they're going to win it, but I think it will hurt them in the division standings. As we move on to the wild card teams, we got the Green Bay Packers at 5 again. Like I said, they're going to be fighting with the Lions quite a bit. It's a really tough division to win. The NFC North, that is. So I got the Packers getting the 5. I don't think I can put the Packers above the Lions right now. Cowboys at 6. I think, like I mentioned with the Bengals, they're going to be a bit one-dimensional on offense. Getting Ezekiel Elliott back. Elliott was okay with the Patriots. He wasn't anything special. Certainly past his prime. If Dallas can get him back to who he was with Dallas, that's going to be pretty scary, and that conversation for NFC East title is going to be very different. But I don't see Ezekiel Elliott getting back to the form that he was. So, again, I think that's going to make their offense a bit one-dimensional. And then on defense, I think their defense is going to be great. I really do, but they do have hiccups every now and then throughout the course of a season. So Dallas is going to be a very interesting team to watch. And then Tampa Bay at 7, a team that maybe not a lot of people even see making the playoffs this year. But their roster really hasn't changed much going into this season. Pretty similar to as it was last year, but it's just a lot of new teams on the NFC with a lot of new pieces, which will lead to people like changing it up a bit, like at the Falcons, a lot of people having the Falcons winning the division. But I didn't personally, just doing power rankings wise, I don't know if I'd even see Tampa Bay making the playoffs, but just again how the schedules work out, I had Tampa Bay getting the 7th seed in the playoffs in the NFC. So there you have it. The first 7 teams in each conference. As we move on to the wild card round of the AFC. First matchup I got here being the Cincinnati Bengals at the Houston Texans. This is going to be a really good game. 2 high-flying offenses. Joe Mixon revenge game, anyone, for the wild card round. I think Joe Mixon's definitely going to have something to prove in this game. Again, I don't know how great I feel about the Cincinnati defense. I think that could prove costly in this game. And really, a lot of people, they felt like the Bengals could have been a lot better if Burrow was in there last year, the second half of the season. And that definitely could be true, but I thought Jake Browning definitely played really well. He was playing, I felt like I almost didn't even see a difference out there between Joe Burrow and Jake Browning. Like, call me crazy, but that's just what I felt like. The Bengals were still very efficient on offense. They just couldn't win, consistently as they needed to get into the playoffs. And I think part of that was because of the defense, and I think you're going to continue to see that bit of an issue for the defense. And I think that's going to be the killer here for the Bengals, as I have the Texans winning. One and done for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Stroud taking out the Bengals in the wild card round, 33-25. Again, it's the defense I think is going to be the killer for Cincinnati. It's going to elevate the Texans to the divisional round of the playoffs for the second straight year. As we move on to Orchard Park, we got the Browns at Buffalo to take on the Bills, 6v3 seeds. This game honestly could go either way. I could see the Browns winning this game. Obviously, I could see the Bills winning this game. But I feel like there might be more questions. I feel like there could be more questions for Buffalo rather than Cleveland. But for the uncertainty around Deshaun Watson, the health around Deshaun Watson, and then seeing on the defense last year in the playoffs, they did collapse for Cleveland when they had to play the Texans. And, watching all this local Bills stuff, alright, don't kill me or anything, but it's been making me a bit hopeful for the offense going into this season. Obviously, I still don't think the offense is going to be as crazy as it was when they had Diggs in the beginning half of last season. I'm not sure if the offense will reach that point again this season. It might, very well could. But I got the Bills winning this one, 26-24. Again, I could see this game going either way. But I'm going to go with a bit of the home field advantage here. It's going to be tight all the way through, but I think Josh Allen's going to be able to pull this one out in the end to win this one, 26-24. As we move on to finally, we get the State Farm Bowl. After years and years of it not happening, we finally get it in the wild card round in Kansas City. Two Super Bowl contending teams that a lot of people feel like are contenders, and rightfully so. Two teams with amazing defenses, and two teams with should be great offenses. Obviously, Jets, they got talent all over the board. And Rodgers at quarterback too. Then Kansas City, pretty self-explanatory. They got Mahomes, Kelsey, and all those young, speedy receivers there. This is going to be a really great game to watch, but Kansas City ain't going to lose, especially in the wild card round of the playoffs. I got Kansas City taking care of business against the Jets, 31-21. I think it's going to be a close game in the first half, but second half, Chiefs defense is going to turn it up a notch and seal the deal for Kansas City here in the wild card round. It might be a bit bold to have the Jets even lose in the wild card round to, make it all season, have all the hype that they've had to lose in the wild card. But when you get matched up against the Chiefs in the wild card round, that's what's going to happen. So I got the Chiefs winning this one, 31-21. As we move on to the NFC wild card round. And starting off, Buccaneers, 49ers in the wild card round. Baker Mayfield getting them back to the playoffs, second year in a row. But just with how San Francisco has just been a dominant team really the past couple of years, I don't know if this one is going to be close. Obviously, it's going to be competitive, but I feel like 49ers should have this game. I got them winning this one, 29-21. 49ers are a lot more complete team than the Bucs are, just being completely honest. They got better coaching, better defense, and better offense, really, too, especially in the running game. No shade to Rachaad White. He definitely proved himself to be a pretty good back last year, but Christian McCaffrey is a different man, and I think he could very well be the difference in this game and win this one 29-21. It could be different for the 49ers here this season. I'm predicting the 49ers as if Brandon Ayuk will be playing for them this season, which it seems like that's going to be the case, but you never know. It's July 27th right now, so a lot of stuff can still change, but that's why I'm predicting it for now. I got the 49ers beating the Bucs in the wild card round 29-21. As we got another interesting one here. Dallas at the Falcons. Falcons could be a bit of a wild card, really, for this season because they have expectations to play like big boy ball this year. But will it actually happen? Because we've seen it happen in the past. Just look at the Jets, for example. Sure, because they lost Aaron Rodgers is the big reason why. But you never know. Like, the offense could have struggles and not play up to expectations. I'm still expecting the defense to play well. Obviously, I'm expecting the offense to play pretty well this year, too. And I hate for this to happen to the Cowboys. I really do. But I think there's a good chance they're going to struggle again come playoff time yet again, especially I think they're going to have a worse running game than they've had in years past. And I think that's going to be a killer for them offensively in this game. And I think the defense is going to struggle like how it did against Green Bay last year. It's going to be in a bit of a similar situation. But they're going to be on the road too, so it's going to play in Atlanta's favor, obviously, being at home too. So I think the Falcons are going to get the job done. Cousins finally gets that playoff win because those are pretty hard for him to come by. And it's going to be a decisive victory for them as they get the win 37-24. Because I need a drink of water because there's a lot of talking. Got this at the Hall of Fame. Absolutely great water bottle. But anyways, next matchup here, final matchup I believe for Wildcard Weekend, is the Packers at the Lions, a divisional game in the playoffs. Love just became the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, which scares the crap out of me as a Bills fan because if we end up paying Allen again, which I mean hopefully we do, it's going to be a lot of money because Jordan Love only had one great season and Allen's had like 4 or 5 great seasons now. So it scares me a little bit, but nonetheless, Packers are a young rising team. And the Lions, you feel like, are right there for a Super Bowl, which they've been waiting for literally their entire existence. But I don't think they're going to lose this game. I think the Lions are going to win this one 28-26. Obviously kind of expected because I had the Lions winning the division over the Packers. But it's going to be a tough game. They both know each other very well. I think it's going to come down to the more, experience is a good term here. Because the Packers are a very young team. They are the youngest team in the league. But obviously, they didn't need a whole lot of experience last year because they get the 49ers rung for their money last year in the divisional round. But I got the Lions winning this one at home. 28-26 is this right here is the divisional round bracket. Bills at Texans. Chiefs at Ravens. Falcons at 49ers. And Lions at Eagles. Storylines all over the place. But we're going to start with the AFC divisional round, and it's the Bills at the Texans. And another revenge game for the Texans, except this one is a Stefon Diggs revenge game, more specifically. I know, and you know, it might be a Bills revenge game, too, because of how that whole situation ended for Diggs and the Bills. But if this happens, I'm going to be scared shitless. I really will be. But just looking at the rosters here, you know, in years past, I've picked the Bills every single year to win the Super Bowl ever since I've been starting to do this. But, you know, rightfully so, because they've been a Super Bowl contender all these years. But are the Bills a Super Bowl contender now? And that is where I have the Bills losing in the playoffs. So the first time I've ever made these prediction videos, I'm having my hometown team, the Bills, lose to the Texans, to probably the worst team that they could lose to in the playoffs. And that's the Texans and Stefon Diggs. Obviously, close game, 28-24. Honestly, the Stefon Diggs could very well be the deciding factor in this one, making that one extra catch. Because the Bills, they have a lot of kind of uncertainty at the receiver position, a lot of young, I don't know if I'd say young guys, but obviously Keon Coleman being the youngest of them. But, you know, just a lot of guys that are receivers that are like kind of more on the depth chart. They're not really used to being in that big prominent role, as they probably will see a lot of being on the Bills this season. And the Texans, they have a lot more weapons than Buffalo. Let's be honest. Their defense is going to be primed for a big year also. So I'm going to go with the young gun of Stroud, taking out Allen in the divisional round. This might be like the 4th straight year the Bills will lose in the divisional round, so it sounds pretty fitting to me. Makes a whole lot of sense to me. So I got the Texans advancing to the AFC Championship game, and will they be on the road or at home that will be decided right here. A rematch of the AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Obviously, last year in this matchup, Kansas City was making a run for it in the first half of the game. But Baltimore's defense really tightened up, but the offense really couldn't get it together against Kansas City, which ultimately led to their season ending. But I think this one's going to be a little bit different. Three-peats are really hard to come by. Honestly, if any team's going to do a three-peat, it's going to be Mahomes and the Chiefs. But 24-23 is going to be my score for this one. I got the Ravens winning this one. I think Derrick Henry playing could be a big help to them for this game. And honestly, Ravens might be a bit more hungry than the Chiefs are to win this game because of how their season ended last year. Because last year should have been Baltimore's season, but it wasn't because of that team. And it's two great defenses here, but I think Lamar is going to smarten up here. I don't know if he's going to. I don't think he will play the crap ball that he did in the championship game last year. I think the Ravens will just barely squeak out the win in the divisional round. So we got Texans at Ravens in the AFC Championship game. But first, we got to go over the NFC divisional games, and we'll start with the Falcons at the 49ers. This right here is giving me instant flashbacks to the 2019 divisional game. That was between the Vikings and the 49ers, because that was the last time Cousins played the 49ers in the playoffs, and that was in that game where San Francisco really dominated that game for pretty much the whole 60 minutes of that game. And honestly, if anyone really has the Falcons going past the divisional round, that might be a bit of a stretch. 49ers have been there year in, year out. They're going to win this game 30-17. I think this is where Cousins finally falls yet again in the playoffs. And plus, this Falcons team doesn't really have a whole lot of playoff experience to begin with. The 49ers do, so I think the 49ers are going to win this one. Is it going to be close? I don't really think so. I think the offense is going to be grooving as it normally does, and I think the defense is going to make pretty big plays. So I got the Niners winning this one 30-17, as we got the NFC Divisional Lions at the Eagles. And you may be thinking this game should be the Lions to take, considering how the Eagles have been kind of up and down a little bit. But I actually have the Eagles winning this one. High-scoring game, 33-31. Yeah, this might be a bit of a bold pick, but obviously defenses are both going to struggle in this one. But, you know, both these teams can run the ball very well. Obviously, Eagles now have Saquon Barkley. And Lions have the great duo of Montgomery and Gibbs, which I think is only going to improve. Both teams should be great in the passing game. But I think the one difference in this game is going to be quarterback mobility. And we've seen it a lot with Jalen Hurts. He's a great mobile quarterback. And Jared Goff, I guess if he needs to, he can run for a couple of yards, but he's no Jalen Hurts when it comes to running the football. And I think that's going to be the deciding factors. You just need all elements of the offense to really function really well. And the Lions, don't get me wrong, are an amazing offense. But I think that one little factor that they're missing is the running game from the quarterback might be the difference in this one. And plus, considering the Eagles are at home as well. So, yeah, I got the Eagles winning this one in the divisional round. And as a Bills fan looking at this too, I feel for the Lions, especially in this one, because the Lions last year obviously went to the NFC Championship game, lost on the road, and then they go into the divisional round, everyone thinking it's going to be their year. Then they lose on the road into the divisional round, kind of taking a bit of a step back, which reminds me of the Bills going to the AFC Championship game on the road, and then having it be their year the next year, losing in the divisional round on the road. It almost feels fitting that way, but I don't want it to happen for the Lions. I really hope this doesn't happen for the Lions. But I think it's a possibility of it happening. But we're going to move on to the AFC Championship game. Texans at Ravens, rematch of the divisional round a year ago between these two teams. Same location, different date. And this is a third revenge game in a row for Houston because they lost to Baltimore last season. And it was really interesting watching that game too, because the Texans' offense is really flying all season long, but the Ravens just had Stroud's number. Going back to week one, going all the way to the divisional round, for whatever reason, they knew something that the rest of the league didn't about Stroud, which led to the Texans' demise in that game because the Ravens really just steamrolled the Texans. But I think this one's going to be different. I got the Texans winning the AFC Championship 35-28. The Texans are going to look a lot different on offense this year. The running game is going to be better with Joe Mixon. Passing game should be better, adding Stephon Diggs to a group with already having Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So I think the offense is going to be a lot more prepared for this matchup. And are the Ravens going to be able to keep up with Houston? And can Lamar finally get over the hump? Because that's another question that a lot of people have. Because they should have gotten over the hump last year, but they didn't. So it really makes you wonder if they can get over that hump. And yes, I'm going to be that guy that's going to question if they can make it all the way. So that's where I have Houston winning this one, going to the Super Bowl, winning 35-28. As we move along to the NFC Championship game, and it's what really has been the NFC Championship game for the past, 3 out of the past 4 years now. Niners at Eagles, yet again with these two. It's like Bills, it's like the NFC's version of Bills-Chiefs, really. This is a game that could really go either way, but there's a lot of... I feel like people are almost overlooking this a little bit when it comes to the Eagles here. And I feel like a lot of people are almost overlooking the fact that Saquon is on Philadelphia. I think Saquon Barkley can play like how Christian McCaffrey did a year ago, if not better. Because you also are pairing Saquon Barkley up with a great mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts is. And I think that's just going to be an X factor that's going to be near impossible for the rest of the league to stop. And I think that offense is going to be rolling. I got the Eagles beating the Niners in the NFC Championship game 30-24. 49ers falling yet again, just oh so close. And I had the Niners falling yet again. And I got the Eagles going to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years, I think, right? So I think, yeah, I got the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. Might be a bit bold. I don't think a lot of people are picking this for the team that's going to come out of the NFC. A lot of people picking the Lions. A lot of people picking the Packers. But I got the Eagles coming out of the NFC on top. As we make our way to the Super Bowl in February, Texans, Eagles, who's going to win it? And for this one, I kind of look at which defense is better, which offense is better, and I kind of just balance it out based on that. Looking at these two defenses are probably going to be great. It's kind of hard to pick which defense is honestly going to be better than the other because they have talent on both sides, young guys, both sides of the ball. It's really hard to pick and choose which defense is really better. But looking at the offense, two great running games, Joe Mixon on one end, Saquon Barkley on the other. Two great mobile quarterbacks. And sure, Jalen Hurts has shown his mobility a lot more than Stroud has, but Stroud can certainly run the ball for some yardage if need be. And looking at the receivers, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Houston Texans, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, there's weapons all across the board. But going through this, I think this is a scary turning point for the league because I have the Houston Texans winning the Super Bowl 34-31. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But I think we have another superstar quarterback in the league, and that is C.J. Stroud. And watching him entering the AFC with Mahomes, with Allen, with Burrow, with all these young guys, and I think C.J. Stroud is going to elevate himself to probably number 2 on the quarterback list. I don't know if I can move Mahomes off number 1. I think even if Stroud has a better season than Mahomes, I think people will probably still put Mahomes number 1, honestly. But I got the Houston Texans winning the Super Bowl here, 34-31. So let me know your guys' thoughts on my playoff predictions. Are they good or are they bad? They're probably bad. But yeah, I'm sure this is going to turn out just perfectly how it will for the season. But I appreciate you guys for watching. If you watched all the way through, thank you. If you like what I do on my channel, subscribing, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm going to be making preseason predictions, regular season predictions, and then I'm going to try to get the podcast going, the OT podcast with Thomas Bailey. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Haven't had time to really do it over the summer. Our schedules really haven't lined up well at all, which has been really unfortunate. But we're going to try our best to get some pods out for you guys as the season goes along here and as the semester ramps up for me, going into second year of college and everything. So if you guys like the video, please leave a thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, with that, I don't have much else to say except life forms.